When the CEO of a major company gets in his car, he hears a black girl, age 7, telling him to be quiet. It was impossible for him to guess why. Don't say anything. There was no sound in the parking lot except for a high-pitched voice. Jonathan. Miller, CEO of Miller Industries, stood still outside his black BMW with the key in his hand. The order came from inside the car. As he got used to the dark inside, he saw a black girl, about 7 years old, huddled in the back seat. Her eyes were wide with fear. "There, I'm listening," she said in a low voice, pointing to the office building behind him. "Your partner and his blonde wife. They said you'd be here now." Jonathan, who was 52 years old, had no idea that a street child would change his life. Miller Industries was his idea from start, and he built it into a $200 million tech company. For 15 years, he had full faith in his partner Marcus Williams. And for 10 years, he had full faith in his personal assistant, Diana Foster. "How did you get in my car?" he said quietly as he slid into the driver's seat without making a sound. "When she left, the cleaner left it open. What made me hide was hearing them talk about you upstairs." Even though her clothes were dirty, her small eyes sparkled with intelligence. "Wow. They told you that you will no longer own anything tomorrow." Jonathan's heart stopped beating. Marcus and Diana had a meeting with Japanese investors tomorrow to talk about a $400 million merger. Very well put together. "What else did you hear? Is that you're very stupid and you're going to sign some papers?" Without reading them properly, he asked, while looking out the lit windows on the 10th floor. "That you'll have to look for another job the day after tomorrow." The blonde woman laughed. "They said other bad things about you, but my grandmother always said that children don't repeat bad words." Jonathan was angry and surprisingly proud at the same time. This child had put herself in danger to tell a stranger about a betrayal. "What's your name?" she asked. "Jasmine. Yours is Jonathan Miller because I heard them say it 1,000 times. She hesitated. "Are you going to turn me in to the police now?" she asked. "No, Jasmine. In fact, you may have saved everything I've built in my life." For the first time in weeks, Jonathan smiled. They were probably leaving now, sure that tomorrow would be the day they finally got Jonathan out of the way. But what they didn't know was that a millionaire CEO had just found the strangest ally possible. Not that Jasmine had given him something much more valuable than any business meeting. It was time to get ready. As he drove away from the building, Jonathan started to make a plan. But why would a 7-year-old risk everything to save a man she didn't even know? The answer to that question would change not only her revenge, but also how she saw justice in general. If this story of betrayal and revenge moved you, be sure to subscribe to the channel to see how the person they thought they could trust the least would end up being the key to their own downfall. As Jonathan drove through the city's quiet streets, his mind was processing Jasmine's words like puzzle pieces that were finally starting to fit together. Back seat, the girl stayed awake and kept her eyes on the rearview mirrors. "Did they say anything else?" was her question. "You trust them like an obedient little dog," the blonde woman said. Jasmine grimaced in disgust, "And tomorrow you'll find out that little dogs sometimes bite their owners." Jonathan felt like he had been punched in the stomach. They had been together for 15 years and trusted Diana completely, but now they saw him as a stupid pet. Where did they get their trust? She shrugged in a way that broke his heart. "Sometimes at the shelter, sometimes on the street. It depends on space and whether the other boys are being too annoying." Jonathan stopped at a red light and looked at her directly. "Why did you tell me? You don't even know me." Jasmine's eyes lit up with early wisdom, "Because I know what it's like when people think you're invisible. They were talking about you. My grandmother always said when you see someone getting stepped on and you can help because next time it could be you." The light turned green, but Jonathan stayed still for a few seconds to take in the 7-year-old's lesson in humanity. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in an empty diner, with Jonathan pretending to drink his cold coffee while Jasmine ate a hamburger. Marcus had sent a message. "Ready for tomorrow, buddy. The Japanese are going to love our proposal. You're going to retire rich." Jonathan showed Jasmine the screen, and she laughed softly. "He's got some nerve, doesn't he? He's lying to your face and still putting on a happy face." Marcus had always been like that. Jonathan typed a friendly reply to hide his anger. "She knows my schedule better than I do." She has access to everything, and the Jonathan smiled, sincere for the first time. No, Jasmine, but they can't know that I know. Another message came in, this time from Diana. Jonathan, I've reviewed the final contracts. Everything is perfect for signing. Trust me, as you always have. Jonathan's stomach turned at the coldness of Diana's message, which was written in a way that seemed like affection. Diana had been his confidant for 10 years, organizing his life and knowing his schedule, passwords, and fears. They know some things about you? Jasmine licked her ketchup-stained fingers and asked, do they know everything? Bank passwords, company accounts, and where I keep important documents. It was starting to hit him how bad the betrayal was. They had years to plan, but you had years of stuff on them too, right? Jonathan stopped drinking and realized Jasmine was right. They'd been his partner for 15 years and his executive assistant for 10 years. He knew their secrets just as well as they knew his. Marcus's private meetings with competitors that he thought no one knew about. Diana's strange bonus system, the emails he saw by accident, and the conversations he overheard when they thought he wasn't listening. You have a very sharp mind, Jasmine. My grandmother used to say that when you have nothing, you learn to pay attention to everything. She wiped her hands on her napkin. They think you're stupid, but you're not, are you? Jonathan asked with a smile. Jonathan answered the phone. In the friendliest voice he could muster, Marcus probably wanting to confirm some last-minute detail and finalize the final trap. Jonathan, I'm glad you got there. Diana and I are here finishing up the last preparations. Are you resting well? Tomorrow will be a big day. I'm great, Marcus. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds. It'll be perfect. Trust me, we've taken care of everything. Marcus's voice was brimming with pride. He and Diana thought they had turned Jonathan into a puppet who would only do what they said. When he hung up the phone, Jasmine watched him closely. You're planning something, aren't you? Your eyes look different. It was then that all of Marcus and Diana's insults, lies, and fake smiles from the past few months made sense. They hadn't just broken his trust. They had completely broken it. What they didn't know was that Jonathan had been building businesses for years and had learned that the best strategies aren't loud, they're quiet. And while they were too proud to celebrate their win, he was about to use their pride to destroy them. The next morning, Jonathan woke up with a clear head that he hadn't had in months. Jasmine was sleeping on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket he had found around the house. He looked at the child in the closet for a moment before getting a message from Diana at 6:15 a.m. Good morning, boss. I've been at the office since 5 o'clock getting everything ready. The Japanese are coming at 2 o'clock. As always, you just need to trust me and sign where I tell you. Jonathan smiled bitterly. Diana had to work extra hard to make sure he lost everything. But she was also acting like a loving mother, Jasmine said as she stretched out on the couch. You're planning something? Your eyes aren't the same. Like when my grandma learned someone was telling her lies? Jasmine, I need your help. Could you go back there today and listen to what they have to say again? The girl sat up straight and looked serious. That's not safe. I understand. So I'm going to pay someone to keep you safe. Jonathan had already made up his mind while he couldn't sleep. My name is Gabriel Torres, and I know a private detective. Used to check the backgrounds of big companies for me. Gabriel picked up on the second ring, and his voice was thick and familiar. Wow, Jonathan, what a shock. After they broke my deal last year, I thought you had forgotten about me. He saw the irony. Gabriel was fired because Marcus and Diana said they had to cut costs. Jonathan now knew the real reason. Gabriel had too many questions and was too smart. Gabriel, I want you to know that I did not decide to fire you. There was no answer on the other end. Then a dry, low laugh. I thought that too. Marcus never liked it when detectives asked him questions that were bothersome. What do you need? After 2 hours, Gabriel was sitting in Jonathan's kitchen and looking at Jasmine with a mix of respect and worry. He had scars on his hands and eyes from being a police officer and was 45 years old. He didn't miss a beat. So, this little spy found a business plot worth $200 million. Gabriel was shocked and shook his head. You were naturally good at this, Jasmine. That's what my grandma always said. You learn to listen to everything when you have nothing, she said, biting into a piece of toast. Gabriel took out a tablet from his bag. While Jasmine saved your business, I looked into a few things on my own. I've never liked how I was fired, he said. He slid his fingers across the screen to show spreadsheets and documents. Marcus and Diana are not only betrayed, they also stole. The information was very bad. Shady transfers, fake contracts, and clients who only appeared on paper. They stole more than $5 million from the company over 2 years, setting up a complicated web of fake companies. Gabriel said that the merger with the Japanese isn't about growth. It has to do with hiding money. To confirm the backwards moves, they need you to sign. After that, they take you away and everything is fine. Jonathan's chest swelled with cold anger. It wasn't just violation of trust, it was a crime ring. They stole from the business I worked hard to build, he said, shrugged. They used my trust to pay for their own bad behavior. Jasmine sat up straight. Things are getting interesting now. They believe you are not smart, but you have a detective. And a smart girl on your side? They don't know any of this. Jonathan's phone rang. Marcus, of course. Partner, I hope you got enough rest. To finish up the last few things, Diana and I have been here since early this morning. The Japanese will be pleased with how well our group works. Jonathan answered, I'm sure they will. His voice was very calm. Marcus said one more thing, and Jonathan could hear the hungry smile in his voice. Diana told you that you don't have to worry about going over the papers today. Some of them are pretty complicated, but you've always trusted our knowledge, right? Just sign where she tells you to? The attitude made me sick. They were sure they could steal $200 million from him and still make him thank them. Gabriel watched Jonathan after they hung up close up. You can do 2 things. Now, call the police and try to show all of this in court, even though there is a chance they will get away with it or be let hang. You should go to the meeting, but don't act like the victim they expect. Be the hunter they didn't think you could be, like in a movie. Jasmine clapped her hands together with joy. It looks like you're going to sign, but you know everything already. Gabriel smiled for the first time since he got there. Right on. And while they're celebrating too soon, you turn them around. Walked right up to the cops with solid proof. His phone went off again. Diana's message. Jonathan, you're a great boss. Your partner and I will work together forever after today. That message's lack of sincerity made Jonathan sick to his stomach. Diana did more than just steal money, making him look bad, which was exactly what she had planned. Jonathan put his phone away and said, They think I'm a sad idiot. They think I'm weak because I'm kind. Gabriel put down his tablet and his eyes got tired. Then you need to show them that being kind and smart can be very dangerous together. She jumped off the couch and her eyes lit up with purpose. I can also help. I can sneak up on you near the meeting room and record everything on your phone. Jonathan thought about it for a moment. She was a kid of 7 years old. He then thought about how she had put herself in danger to tell him about the betrayal. Okay, he finally said, but Gabriel always keeps an eye on you. Gabriel said yes. It'll be fun to see those two realize they didn't give those people enough credit. Jonathan felt something he hadn't felt in years as they worked out the last details. The thrill of being chased. Marcus and Diana worked on their trap for 2 years to make it perfect. They didn't know that in a few hours that same trap would close on them with such force that it would erase not only their plans, but also their whole lives. Jonathan had been the reliable partner and helpful friend for 15 years. Boss. The person who always believed in people. These days, they would learn that being kind has a much more dangerous side that comes out when patience runs out. The meeting was set for 2 p.m., but by 2 to 5, Marcus and Diana would find that the quiet lamb they thought they were taking to the slaughterhouse had sometimes grown sharp teeth. And today was the day he would finally use them all. Jonathan walked into the Miller Industries meeting room right on time at 2 o'clock, as if it were any other workday. To Marcus and Diana were already there, meticulously stacking papers like doctors, getting ready for and during surgery. Jonathan. Marcus got up and gave him a big hug like he was a brother. I'm glad you came. Everything is fine while the Japanese are on their way. Diana walked up with a motherly smile and a leather bag. Boss, all you have to do is sign where I put the yellow post-its. Trust me, as you always have, she said in a condescending way. like someone who thinks they are talking to Occult. Yes, Jonathan said in a calm voice.
First, though, I'd like to show you something cool I learned last night. Gabriel Torres walked into the room with a box of papers, and 2 federal police agents followed him. Marcus and Diana smiled and quickly
Looked at each other. Gabriel Marcus made a face. I thought you were no longer working for us, Gabriel replied. I do. I work for the real boss of the business now, though. Jonathan hooked up his laptop to the room's screen. Marcus, Diana, do you remember talking about this? The screen lit up with detailed spreadsheets that showed dates, amounts, and bank payments. 5,300,000 stolen in 2 years. For the first time, Diana's smile broke. What is this, Jonathan? Some kind of joke? Are you kidding me? Jonathan went to the next screen by clicking it. Marcus was seen going into and out of foreign banks was signed. Papers and fake contracts. You set up 17 fake businesses to hide the money you stole from me. Marcus stood up quickly, and his charm finally started to fall off. Where did you get this? The data is kept secret. Closed. Jonathan let out a soft laugh. Marcus, do you really think I built a $200 million business without knowing how to look out for myself? Diana tried to stay calm, but the folder she was holding made her hands shake. Jonathan, you don't understand. There are perfectly legal reasons for these deals. Gabriel spoke up and gave each of the detectives an envelope. Below are tapes of the 2 of them talking about how to pull off the fake merger. He then put out the statements of 3 made-up clients are in the second envelope on the table, ready to go to court. Marcus's face was red from being scared and angry. There's nothing you can prove? All of these are just claims. Since he walked into the room, Jonathan had not smiled before. Marcus, do you remember Jasmine? Who the hell is Jasmine? The door opened, and a social worker walked in with a 7-year-old girl. Her eyes were set on the meeting table as she walked up to it. Hi, Mr. Marcus, she said in a nice but strong voice. Remember me? I was hiding under your desk last night when you called Mr. Yamamoto and said you were going to steal Mr. Jonathan's company. The room was dead quiet. Marcus opened and closed his mouth several times but couldn't say anything. Aunt Diana played one more card, and her voice got very high because she was dying to win. The child. We're going to trust a street kid more than a respected professional? Gabriel took out his phone and hit play. Diana's voice came on. Jonathan is a whiny jerk. Needs to get a new job tomorrow or else we'll take everything from him. That jerk won't know what hit him. Marcus's voice came next on the recording. 15 years pretending to be friends with that idiot. It'll be worth every second when I see his face, when he finds out he's lost everything. Diana fell to the floor, her face as white as a sheet. Marcus punched the table so hard that it hurt that the papers flew off. You jerk. You set us up, Jonathan yelled, his voice low but sharp. I didn't set you up, Marcus. You dug your own grave for 2 years. I just gave you the shovels. Investigator walked up and said, Marcus Williams and Diana Foster, you're under arrest for theft, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit corporate fraud. Marcus yelled, This won't stand. As the handcuffs went around his wrists, getting up, Jonathan said, I'll destroy you. Tie calmly. Marcus, you've already tried to hurt me. I'm better at it than you are, Diana said, as she was let out. Diana cried quietly. But Jonathan didn't feel sorry for her. He remembered how she had smiled at him while stealing his money and sent him sweet messages while she planned his downfall. Jasmine walked up to him and lightly tugged on his hand. Mr. Jonathan, are they really going to jail? She asked. Yes, Jasmine. Gabriel closed his briefcase with a long thought. 3 other companies have already called interested in real partnerships. Jonathan, the Japanese called off the meeting when they heard about the investigation, but Jonathan, you'll find out how much it's really worth. As the room emptied, Jonathan looked out the window and saw the police van driving away. For 15 years, he had blindly trusted Marcus, and for 10 years, he had treated Diana like family. They had turned his kindness into weakness, his trustworthiness into weakness. As he watched the same scene, Jasmine asked, Mr. Jonathan, are you sad? He looked at the girl who had saved his life and replied, "No, Jasmine. For the first time in years, I'm at peace." Why? Because I've learned that there are people in the world like you. People who do the right thing, even when there's nothing in it for them. Outside, Marcus and Diana realized that their pride had cost them not only their jobs, but also their freedom. Inside the room, but there was still one question that would change everything. Why would a 7-year-old risk everything to save a stranger? The answer would show a link that not even Jonathan could have imagined. 6 months later, Jonathan was in his new, much bigger office, looking down at the city from the 20th floor. Miller Industries had grown 40% since Marcus and Diana's arrest. Finally, free of the Gabriel knocked on the door with a briefcase and a smile. The latest news on our old friends. Marcus was sentenced to 12 years in prison, and Diana got 8 years. They lost all of their assets, and their homes were taken away to pay the company. The law firm that represented them refused to continue the case when they found out they tried to bribe witnesses. Jonathan nodded, feeling satisfied, but not angry. In the other victims, we found 7 more businessmen. All of the people they cheated over the last 5 years are now suing to get their money back. Marcus and Diana's scheme was much bigger than we thought. Jasmine ran in from the private school Jonathan had put her in, was wearing a clean uniform and had a new backpack on his back. His eyes were as smart as ever, but now they were fed by education and safety. "Mr. Jonathan," she said with pride, waving the paper, "I got an A on my math test." Gabriel smiled and watched. That a 7-year-old kid saved a $200 million business is still hard to believe. "Actually," Jonathan said, sitting down to be at Jasmine's height, "there's something you both need to know. Something I found out a few weeks ago." Pulled out a folder of legal documents and asked, "Jasmine, do you remember your grandmother's name?" She replied, "Josephine Miller." Gabriel raised an eyebrow. "Miller like?"
Ow!
Jonathan opened the folder and found birth certificates, genealogical documents, and old photos. Josephine Miller. All of a sudden, there was complete silence in the room. Jasmine looked from the papers to Jonathan, trying to make sense of what she was reading. "That means that we're real family," Jonathan said in a soft voice. "Your grandmother always told the social workers how smart and brave you were." After that night, when I started looking into it, everything fell into place. Jasmine threw herself into his arms, tears streaming down her face. She had tears running down her face as she said, "I knew it. I knew you were different. Grandma always said that family takes care of family." Gabriel cleared his throat, clearly moved. "So when she warned you about the conspiracy, it was family protection instinct," Jonathan finished. "She didn't know we were related, but she felt it." 3 months later, the adoption ceremony took place in the same courthouse where Marcus and Diana had been found guilty. As the judge signed the papers, Jasmine Miller, dressed in a light blue dress, held Jonathan's hand tightly. It's not often that a crime leads to the reunion of a family. Later, at the restaurant party, Jasmine looked at Jonathan with that seriousness that only children have. "Mr. Jonathan, Dad, do you think Grandma knew this was going to happen?" Jonathan thought about the question, remembering how Jasmine had come into his life just when he needed her the most. "I think your grandmother knew a lot more than we think, and I think she would be very proud of how you saved our family." Anniversary of Marcus and Diana's arrest, Jonathan got 2 letters in the same week. The first was from Marcus in prison, trying to say sorry and say it was all a misunderstanding. The second was from Diana in prison, playing the victim and blaming Marcus for everything. Jonathan tore up both letters without reading them all the way through. "Look at those pieces of paper in the trash. I still don't get it," Jasmine said. Jonathan is still amazed by how wise that child was every day. It's not about forgiving or not forgiving. It's about moving on and being better. Miller Industries had grown to be one of the 100 biggest tech companies in the country in just 5 years. Jonathan set up a grant program for kids who are at risk, and each year it pays for more than 200 kids to go to school and live somewhere safe. Jasmine, who is 12 now, was become the honored president of the program and personally chose the recipients. She also volunteered to help young people who were having problems similar to the ones she had. During the program's anniversary dinner, Jasmine asked, Do you know what the best day of my life was? Jonathan smiled as he looked at the girl who had become his daughter and said, "What was it?" "The day I got in your car and decided to trust you. 'Cause that day, I wasn't just saving your company, I was saving our family." What makes him most proud? Marcus and Diana tried to break down everything he had made. They gave him the best gift of his life by accident, though, a chance to learn that family is more than blood ties. Also, bravery, dedication, and love that doesn't depend on anything. He knew that getting payback doesn't mean destroying people who hurt you, that you're making something so beautiful and strong that their betrayal is just a small part of your success story. Mark and Diana tried to take Histo, keep him company, but they gave him a lot more than they thought. A daughter, a reason to live, and proof that the world can give us exactly what we need through the strangest people. If this story about family, justice, and second chances moved you, please subscribe to the channel for more stories that show that real win isn't about beating our enemies, but finding the friends who have always been with us and we're just waiting for the right time to show up.